everybody. Driving home, I wanted to do my live earlier, but just treacherous. It was supposed to be rain with small chance of Alberta winter, and we hit it. We hit it hard here. Blizzard conditions on the 401. Sucks. But I want to do this live. Tyler Shandro again, and himself, 3 others, organizations in relation to companies with strong ties to the firearm community, gun stores, smiths, and of course the Canadian firearms rights. And I'm going to tell you folks, it's pathetic. Lies, and more constitutional lies. I'm going to explain something if I haven't made it crystal clear during the property rights panel, February 16th, 2022. My last birthday, in fact. I was invited while Premier Jason Kenney was at the helm, and I sideswiped him and his MLAs on the property rights panel, and I got to give a detailed presentation, very good presentation. In fact, many American scholars, it was thumbs up. Beautiful articulation, a great presentation twice, 2 rounds. From there I went on and I wrote a pretty prestigious paper. I was invited to Texas U to give a presentation this March. In fact, for an E1 green card. I wanted it, but Alberta needed the intellectual property, and so did the province of Quebec. So I took that intellectual property. It was the Constitutional Conventions Act of any province or territory in Canada. Insert here. Literally a blueprint for every province and every territory. Now, folks, Tyler Shandro and his group of gun rights advocates and special interests, right? I'm one of those too. I know several of the individuals. What's really sad here, folks, really sad, is I'm going to give it to you straight. The highest laws in Canada, bar none others, your Supreme Court of Canada and every Superior Court of every province, rules according to the constitutionality of a said law or common law precedent, whether it's constitutional, meaning whether it's inside the highest laws of the land. That is the Constitutional Acts of Canada, 1867, all the way through all amendments to 1982. And we've had 2 provincial others since that time. But folks, in the Acts, it's very clear how the criminal code works and how many civil rights and enshrined provincial rights are made in this country. And folks, since the dawn of Canada, that was to be codified by the provinces themselves. The provinces were to do that. That's what the Constitution of Canada stated since the beginning, all the way through all amendments, and right now is the law of the land in Canada. Your firearms are in there, listed in Section 92 for any province or territory to codify in their highest laws of the land the provincial constitution. And guess what? Not one single province or territory has gone about doing that. Do you know why? They would have to settle the claims with all the First Peoples in Canada. They would have to give all Canadians real private property, meaning they'd have to give up their crown and turn it over to you, the people. And do you know what? They don't want to do it. Instead, they hold on to what's called the Executive Powers Act, which is created with every one of the 13 amendments in Canada's entire history since 1867. When you read those, you find that the executive power is the highest constitutional law of the provinces and territories. Your provincial and territorial politicians get a crown. They get all the rights to all the things listed in the Constitutional Act of Canada from Section 92 to 144. They belong to your divine politicians who can do anything they want as long as they work within the Crown of Canada, the autocratic Crown of Canada, meaning they can do any laws in Section 92 to 144 against all of you, not for you in your name or to protect your rights listed there. There's a tremendous amount, especially Section 92, but there's a lot there. There's a whole pile. Property rights, civil rights, rights you're supposed to be inalienable and born with. You don't get those either. Not in any province or territory. The provincial politicians decide what you get. Now here's the rest of the Constitutional Act of Canada in relation to the Criminal Code of Canada. The federal government can oversee all criminal code as long as the criminal code doesn't violate the highest laws of the provinces, meaning your codified constitutional powers made for all of you, the people. Well, they never made any. The guns in Alberta listed by the tyrant Justin Trudeau and his minister are going to be taken. And there is nothing, I repeat, nothing Tyler Shandro, the Canadian Firearms and Rights, plus the 3 strong business interest groups, again, 2 of which I know very well, are going to do about it. They are going to lose in not only the highest court, but in the Constitutional Act of Canada, meaning the justices have no choice but to follow the law. And since Alberta doesn't want to codify a constitution for you, the people, codifying Section 90 through to 144, giving up their crown, giving the power codified to you, the people, for once in Canadian history, called for Section 58, 1867, outlined Section 92 to 144. Since they don't want to do that, and they want to keep their crown, you're all going to lose your firearms. I'm going to lose all of mine on my birthday. Happy birthday, February 16th, 2023. And it's going to be a shitty buyback program, or destroy your firearms and give them back to you. Render them inoperative. I know how they do it. I was in the long gun registry. Drill bolts through, weld things out so it can never be used. Wreck your bore, weld your bolts, drill out your clips. That's what they do. That's what they do. That's what's going to happen. Your stuff will be worthless. Because I'm going to say again, there are no rights, none whatsoever, in Canada, because there are no provincial constitutions. They're required to do that. This isn't a secret. Tyler Shandro, the entire UCP cabinet, including Premier Danielle Smith, got my works. In fact, the United States academic highest institutions have my works. I was invited to give a lecture on it to justices and lawyers. I'm still going to go. You're all going to see me Facebook Live. And mark my words, you're going to see me in the UN shortly there too. It gets tiring. It gets tiring over and over. And just how foolish so many Canadians are. So many believe the bullshit of the dirty, filthy, corrupt politicians. This is my video. You're all going to find the truth of it in short order as Alberta loses challenge after challenge, as they laugh and bleed the taxpayers in full actorship of the greasy crown. Left or right, there's no such thing. It's a show. You're all being cucks. You're all being made fools of. That's how Canada operates. The illusion of democracy, the illusion of politicians who don't give two shits about you. That's what Canada is. Crown, colonial, puritocracy. Mark my words. Watch it happen. That's how it works. If you want to know more, read my Constitutional Conventions Act that I wrote just here last year. Supposed to be presented in Texas, supposed to get me my green card, but I waived it. It's okay, I'm still going. I'm still going to get one anyway. You're all going to see me in Texas with all those folks. Some pretty high justices in the United States of America. How does a guy like me get there? How do you even get an invite? Must have done some pretty big works in my life thus far. That's the truth. Share, share, share. Get it out there. You're only hurting yourselves. You can hate me. You can be mad at me. But the truth is the truth. And I never hold back the truth. You have a right to know. You can bury your head in the sand and ignore it. But it's at your peril, your loss. Mark my words. Guns is only tip of the iceberg. Firearms are only tip of the iceberg. I know.